Connecticut Newsmakers starts now on NBC Connecticut HD, Connecticut's news leader.
Welcome back, everyone. A week from, this upcoming Saturday, actually, the 31st, is Halloween, that time of year again. And it's also a time where we get a little bit concerned about the dangers to young kids and even perhaps teenagers and some young adults can also get in some difficulty. And I want to talk about that with a couple of guests on the program today. First of all, on my immediate right is Frank Szivos, who is the director of the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation based out of Milford. And on my far right is Attorney William Bloss of Koskoff, and Bieder. And gentlemen, thanks for coming in and being with us on our program.
Nice to be here.
Attorney Bloss, let me just start with you and talk about some of the materials that are out there that could be extremely dangerous. I know you brought one with you right now. What do you have there?
Well, what we have here is a mask intended for young children that is made out of a polyester in large part, the black fabric, but it's also got this light fabric as cotton gauze. This is the most dangerous in terms of flammability, the most dangerous fabric that's commercially available in the United States. And the statistics show that there are 2 days of the year where there's a huge spike in burn injuries, especially to children. One is the 4th of July, which I'm sure Frank can tell you all about, right. But also Halloween is the overwhelming largest single burn day for young children, and it's related to trick-or-treating. What happens is that if homeowners put candles, live candles, open flames out, a child wearing this particular costume or any costume, if this fabric gets caught into a flame, it will burn, and it will burn very quickly, and it will result in very serious burns to a young child. Now, the good news is, though, that we can prevent it. We can prevent it in a couple of different ways. We can prevent it by not using open flames on Halloween displays, but also parents can be careful about what it is that they're buying for their children. Avoid free-flowing costumes. Avoid costumes that have this kind of light fabric, because this type of fabric burns much more rapidly than other fabrics. And try to find a costume that a child can get off quickly in an emergency. This particular costume is this is actually the face that I'm holding facing you, so it's a semi-opaque fabric. I wouldn't buy this for my child. I wouldn't let a child wear a mask that doesn't have full visibility, and also that I wouldn't let a child use a costume that has this type of material.
You have another one there. We'll talk about it in a second. I just want to ask Frank. Frank, what are we seeing on Halloween? Are we seeing more and more cases of severe burns?
You know, I don't know the exact statistics, Tom, but what we see at the Burn Foundation, we operate basically a camp for children who are burned every summer. And we do see kids that have a variety of burns. Halloween would be one of them. We had a child at our camp who came a couple of years ago that had, in fact, a client of Bill's, was burned in a costume similar to this. Yeah. Simple accidents like that. Everything from that to scaldings. Most people just think of house fires, but there's many other ways that children in particular are burned.
Show us, Counselor, one that's a little bit safer, I guess, the orange costume you have there. Is that supposed to be somewhat like the previous one you had, but just perhaps a bit safer?
Well, this is a cape, but it's got two advantages. One is that it's made 100% polyester. Polyester will burn, but it doesn't burn anywhere close to as quickly. The time it takes to ignite, particularly for heavier polyester, is much longer than for a cotton gauze or even a polyester gauze. But the second advantage of this is that it's got a Velcro snap. So around the neck, if something happens in an emergency, a child can get this off. And so we often tell people if their clothes catch on fire to stop, drop, and roll, and that's obviously very good advice. But if you can get the burning material off, that's even better. And so one thing to think about when you're buying a Halloween costume is, can my child get it off in an emergency? This is pretty good.
Excellent point. I want to talk a little bit about some of the cases, Frank. We have some pictures here that we've had sort of like pre-produced, and we want to take a look at some of those, and maybe you can indicate exactly what we're seeing here.
Well, this shot, that's our ropes course. We put children, they come to our camp, and part of their experience is a ropes course where we sort of teach them. It's to show them that there's life after their burns. They can be successful people. Right there you're seeing a young lady who has just gone down a zip line that's very safe. They're belted in, helmeted. Our staff, our volunteer staff is all trained and certified in this.
What kind of burns did she have, excuse me?
This particular child, I believe, was burned in the back or the leg area, which you're probably not able to see in this photo. But again, the typical types of accidents and scaldings that we do see.
Right.
They come to our camp, Tom, and the purpose of it is to show them that this is a place where they don't stand out, maybe for the first time in a long time. When people are burned and they're in the community, they're in their schools, people through no particular reason might look, gawk, point, whatever. But our camp, all the kids are burned there. They're ages 8 to 18, so they don't stand out. Everyone is there, and we're there to show them that there's life after their burns, that they can be successful and productive, lead productive lives. We have a camp up there. At our camp, we have a lot of water sports. It's a traditional summer camp in Union, Connecticut. We have an all-volunteer staff. Many of them are firefighters. Many of these firefighters have pulled kids out of fires that have been burned. They have a great affinity for many of these children.
And a nice occasion right here.
Yes, absolutely. That's kind of everybody gathering around, after an activity. We have nurses, therapists up there who all volunteer their time. They come up to that camp and give of their time to help these kids have a great experience and show them that, just because you have disabilities doesn't mean that you can still go on and be productive and successful.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming in and talking with us. It's a fun time, of course, Halloween, but be safe. Parents, make sure the kids are safe, and hopefully we won't have too much of an increase in the people who go to that camp.
That would be a nice thing. That would be a nice thing for us.
Well, keep up the good work, Frank. Bill, thank you so much for coming in and being with us on our program.
Thank you.
Audience, thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Monahan, and we'll see you next week on Connecticut Newsmakers.